Good morning. How are you? Good. I'll echo Nicole's welcome to day 3. So this session here is show and tell. So you hear a lot of information when you come to events like this, and we appreciate that you're here to learn with us and discover some ways to grow our business mutually together. But we thought we'd have a show and tell because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, we're actually doing. So we've got a couple of things. We'll have 5 content or speakers or presenters here. Thank you for that. This is a valuable thing back there. It was hard to find. So we'll have 5 folks come up and speak to us. We're going to have ZeroEyes talk to us. They're a company that's focused on smart video analytics. Very sadly in our country, a sensitive topic, right? So we all see the news every day, and they've got a solution that can help solve for some of the unfortunate incidents that we see in the news in terms of mass shootings. So that'll be interesting. We'll follow that with Blue Light, a company known. They've been around for about 30 years or so, and they're a company known for solving some challenges for things like IEDs and also site exploitation, So both of those companies will take us through their journeys, and then we're going to have our capital solutions team, our service team, and our engineering resource team come up and share with you, not slideware, but share with you guys how we are, what those capabilities are, and how we're actually leveraging those to win. So with that, I'd like to have you watch this intro video from ZeroEyes.
We are ZeroEyes, a company that uses existing video cameras and artificial intelligence to save lives, with 6 former Navy SEALs, and the other half are elite technologists. We came from a place where you could lay down your life to protect others, and there's no better purpose right now and no more difficult problem to solve than mass shootings. You have your security cameras that are outside the school looking out to the perimeter. You have a shooter walk up. That shooter is going to take out a weapon because they want to threaten or harm innocent people. Our system that's running over that surveillance camera will identify that weapon, and it will send an alert. In less than 3 seconds, you can have it sent to the principal, faculty, the security resource officers, and the local police. So as soon as they have that alert, 2 things will be given to them. 1, the option to lock the school if the shooter has not entered the school yet. The other piece of that, which is critical, is having a picture of the shooter, what type of weapon it is, how many shooters there are, and it's giving you all that information that as a first responder you would want showing up on the scene.
You can't prevent everything, but what we can do is give better situational awareness and reduce response times. Every single time they show up to any single camera and that weapon is exposed, the authorities will be updated with a text and a picture of where that student is, where the gun is, how many of them there are. That will allow them to go directly to the shooter and prevent more violence from occurring.
In the military, as Navy SEALs on missions overseas, we knew the importance of good intelligence. We wanted to know who we were looking for, what weapons they carried, and their location. We want to be able to give first responders that same intel.
Drop the gun!
And as a cop arriving on scene, you want that information so you know how to mitigate the threat as soon as possible and provide medical attention to save lives. Seconds matter.
Mass shootings are devastating. The current solutions are reactive. We need an innovative solution. ZeroEyes is that solution. We enable first responders to be proactive by giving them more time before the shots are fired, because seconds matter.
Come on out, Billy.
Thanks, sir.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, just one quick question to kind of get us started. How many people are affected by, again, it's a very unfortunate situation, but something we deal with in our country.
Right.
How many people are affected by the mass shootings that we see in the news today?
So how many people here have kids? I haven't asked this question because it's a big enough crowd. How many people have been affected by a mass shooting or know folks that have been affected by a mass shooting? And,
Wow.
I mean, just so count how many people here in the room, right? If you look at it from a school perspective, since about Columbine, over 250,000 students have been affected by a school shooter or a mass shooting, which is very unfortunate, and that's kind of why we've been able to use our skill sets as former military guys that have faced active shooters to put a solution together to address this horrible epidemic that seems to be on the rise. As I said, we're ZeroEyes. Billy Hunter, finally retired from the Naval Reserves as a Naval Special Warfare Officer after 18 years. Also with me is Caleb Jones, who's over here, retired SEAL. Using a solution like this gives guys like ourselves something to actually do after we get out of the military. So we took an approach using the experience we had facing active shooters to become to a proactive solution using our skill set to save lives. We're an intelligent video analytics platform. We use basically partners to help us do the resale, or we have referral partners as well. And I'm hoping that there's some folks out here that may be interested in picking up our solution and helping us expand. Mass shootings are getting worse every year. You can see the trend, right? Basically, since about Columbine, everything seems to kind of be growing incrementally, and all of a sudden you're seeing this huge spike. And you can pick a piece of why it's happening, what's going on, why people are doing this. But quite honestly, for us, we are there to stop that gunman or to mitigate that threat if a shooting does go off. So right here is a good example of what happened at Sandy Hook, which was a horrible tragedy. Basically, the shooter felt that his mom loved the students more than they loved him, and he decided to go and take some very innocent children's lives. What we call this in the military is kind of getting left to boom, getting off the X, things like that. So what you're seeing here is 9:34, first shots were fired. 9:39, police arrive. 9:40 a.m., last shot fired. Inadequate report of a second shooter, and then at 9:46, the police enter the building. So roughly in 12 minutes, 20 students, 6 teachers were killed. Police didn't have a solution once they arrived on scene. They had to gather their intelligence and try to go in and figure out what's going on. So essentially what we're trying to do, guys, is if you take that red box right there, we're trying to shrink that down. First of all, we're trying to catch the shooter before he enters the building, roughly at about 65 feet, considering that most school shootings 75% of them start outside the building. We want to have our detection system pick that weapon up. And within 3 to 5 seconds of it picking it up, that alert goes to your school resource officer, your first responders, saying, hey, we've detected a weapon, detected a shooter, what do you want to do about it? And at that point, hits the button on the phone or the email, whoever it goes, and it initiates their active shooter protocol, alerting 911, alerting the police. Essentially, if they're outside the building, they can go lock the building, or they can go meet that threat prior to coming in. If they get inside the building, they have that ability, based on some of the things we're going to show you, to take basically the tactical advantage that the shooter has away and mitigate that threat by getting to them very quickly. So if it goes to your SRO and it's in a building, or even commercially if it goes to your security officer, with our alert system, as I said, 3 to 5 seconds, they have the ability to go and cut that threat off before it starts roaming the building or getting in the building. These are a lot of the security things we see across the board commercially in schools, and I know we do talk a lot about schools because that's the hot button, and they're very sensitive to this active shooter threat.
Yeah.
But it's actually kind of a universal solution that anybody has cameras that has high-risk areas, stadiums, fast food restaurants, major stores. Unfortunately for us, every time a mass shooting occurs, it's kind of bittersweet. We get a rash influx of emails and calls for folks wanting to go after our solution. So we're hoping to get it out there with what we're doing before these things occur and hopefully cut some things down. And by all means, we're not, the be-all, end-all solution. We're kind of the last stop before that shooter gets in the building. So other solutions we work with would be folks using social media, helping to hopefully catch that person as they're typing things on the web, Facebook, and shutting that down before it gets to this. A lot of the things that we see when we go into these buildings is it's a knee-jerk reaction when they start adding more guards. Well, adding more guards necessarily isn't going to stop a shooting from occurring. It's expensive. Where I kind of add this in is you can add more cameras, but quite honestly, after about roughly 23 seconds, the human mind for some reason starts to get distracted and starts thinking about some other things. And what we saw in the Parkland shooting in Florida is actually the student was in the stairwell for 3 minutes, pumping himself up. So for 3 minutes, that kid sat there with a weapon, and there were guards, there were cameras, and nobody did anything. So you can add all these things that you want, but for us, adding our solution on top of that is actually going to give us a chance to hopefully stop them before they get in the building. And the biggest threat is once they get in that building, you're basically running blind. If you've ever been in the military and you do these kind of things, gunshots echo. They may stop shooting. You don't know what's going on. So you as an officer could be going after that first threat and not paying attention, and a second shooter can come in from the other side of the building like we just saw in Colorado and effectively hit the first responders and cut them down and add more to the death toll. Hardened infrastructure. I've seen it where schools have spent $750,000 on a bulletproof vestibule for the SRO basically, but they prop the doors open because they can't afford air conditioning. So really, what does that help? So essentially what we're saying for our method is to, if you're gonna add all these things, put our solution on top of it and give everybody a chance to get away from those shooters. And one of the things we're trying to do besides identify them is with the alert system, it also allows the school and the people in the school to kind of get out versus waiting around once that threat happens. So go ahead and start the video. So what I'm showing you guys here is actually what it looks like if a shooter would be entering a building. And the two things that majorly I want you to look at, up on the right here, a steel frame is going to pop up. That's the alert that gets sent out to first responders or your school resource officer. And then up underneath here, you're going to see how the cameras are white with a red circle around it. Those are going to turn color like a heat map, and that's how we can track the shooter as they're going through the building. So now up here on the right, that's the first alert. School resource officer now has it, principal has it, we have it on our monitoring station. We can say, is that a shooter, is that a gun? Yes, click. Probably within about 9 to 12 seconds after the weapon's identified, it's at 911 and it's with the first responders in the emergency response system. At this point, the SROs should be heading towards the front of the building to mitigate the shooter. You can see how it's turned yellow, right? So we started here. The numbers that you're seeing by the cameras are the number of times that our system picks it up. So the higher the number, the longer they stay in the area. Another alert's going to pop up. So by this point, school resource officers have it up, the police have it up, emergency response has it up. They should be guiding the police to this threat over their walkie-talkies as they're running in. People always ask me, well, what about law enforcement as they're carrying their pistols around or weapons, things like that? We've got it designed that it will detect that weapon. It just doesn't send an alert based on what's going on. One of the things that actually helped our company expand and get in the news and pick us up was a student actually picked up the school resource officer's walkie-talkie. And I facetiously say this, I should offer the kid a job because he's never going to get one. But by setting that alert off, our system was up and running, the police responded, and when we went back and reviewed the video, it picked up all their weapons, it picked up the ones that were out, it picked up the ones that were holstered. And at that point, the school actually decided, yep, we're going to pick this up, signed our first contract. Police blew it up to the news, got in the New Jersey news, went to Philadelphia, went to New York, and all of a sudden I started getting calls from all across the U.S. going, we'd like your solution. I'm like, hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, we saw you on the news. So because of this one event and because of the school backing us on it, it's actually picked up. So we're past being a small company. We're past being a startup. We're actually actively engaged in the selling process. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today is to present this to folks that may possibly want to pick it up as a solution. We do use resellers primarily. We're not a direct sales company. We use an indirect model. just because we solely focus on weapons detections and identification. And as I said before, it's not the ultimate be-all, end-all solution. It packages very nicely with existing camera systems. The way it basically works is, depending on whatever your video management system is, we're either integrated with them. If they're not, we have the ability to basically just take the IP feed address, run it through our system, and then pump it back through the alert system. So it's not really brain surgery to install it. It just takes people, and that's kind of where we're at in the expansion process, is adding more partners to help us scale this model and go a little bigger. Because what typically happens is if one school gets it, the whole school district gets it, or a corporation gets it with multiple locations. So let's say I get a 66 school location. I can't effectively say, okay, I'll do that one every 66 weeks. It's not going to happen. We have the capability to probably handle about 10 a week at this point, and it's been very good growth for us since the inception. So I'll go to the next slide. You go ahead and stop the video. Anybody have any questions out there? We got a little bit of time for Q&A before I go on the final slides.
I'll get started.
Okay.
So are you on-prem, off-prem? How's the solution come together?
So depending upon the layout of the school, how many cameras there are, we can do an on-prem, we can do it in the cloud, and we can also do a hybrid of that.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is some locations only have 5 or 6 cameras, and so to add a hardware stack there can kind of be a little bit cost prohibitive. And it's a little bit easier for us to go in remotely and set up either the pilot program for them or just basically get into their existing cameras and hook it up. Kind of as we go through here, as the threat approaches, our goal is to stop that threat before it goes in the building. 3 to 5 seconds, we're identifying that weapon. Alerts pushed out. Yes, this is an active shooter. Police then respond, and hopefully we give them the tactical advantage and allow them to mitigate that threat before there's any significant loss of life. Unfortunately, I wish I could say that we could stop every shooter. I wish we could stop them before they get in the building. We can't. If people have the desire to kill, they're going to get in. At Sandy Hook, he shot through the front door, shot through the vestibule. So hardening your infrastructure with metal detectors isn't going to stop a shooter, guys. It just doesn't work. So opportunities for us, places we get into, stadiums, arenas, hospitals, shipping ports, schools, first responders, commercial travel hubs, amusement parks. Folks always ask me, hey, where are you guys at? We've actually got a deal with some of the schools in the South where we're running a pilot, which upon completion, they're going to write funding from the Democratic side to push the platform to get funding for all the schools using what we have. I've got it in schools in Chicago. I've got it as a pilot running in the New York City Department of Education. I'm working with one of the major counties in South Florida. You can probably figure out where it is based on what's happening in the news to work these things. So we've seen basically unparalleled growth to the point that we're going to be very reliant upon our partners that we have, which are about 19, and we're going to need more. The threat isn't going away. And as much as we can try to stop it, much you can try to say, hey, guns are legal, people just don't care. If they're hell-bent to shoot folks, they're going to go shoot folks.
Any questions out there?
So generally what we're working on now is we go with what's typically seen, going off the statistics for guns. So
Maybe repeat the question for everybody.
so what he asked was what are the guns that we pick up, things like that, or what do we have? So we can basically train and go for detection of any gun. So the ones we're focused on right now are like your ARs, your M4s, AR-15s, AK-47s, and handguns, because that's predominantly what we're seeing. You know, it's weird. You think that folks would want to go into the shotgun because of what they do. We're just not seeing it. And it's kind of inverse when we leave the schools and we go out to like other shootings as well. We primarily are seeing the ARs in schools, but if you get outside of that, we're starting to see more handguns. You know, handguns are the ones that kill more people than the AR-15. ARs or assault rifles are really only used in about 4% of all the shootings. But when it comes to schools, they seem to think that instills the most terror, and that's what they pick up. It's not really a great weapon in close quarter battle. It's kind of surprising that they use it, but they see it on the news. And you got to remember, these shooters at this point, they're hell-bent on killing folks. They want to instill the most terror. They want to be the Grim Reaper. They know that if they carry an AR into a school, they carry out a school shooting, they post some either a left-right propaganda, it doesn't matter. They know that it's going to get picked up on the news, and they're going to get what they want. But as far as training modules, if other folks, let's say the airports come on board and say, hey, we want to do suspicious items, we would then take all those backpacks, suspicious items, and train the model on it. That's one of the things that kind of separates us from the other folks in the fields. We actually are using real weapons, real detection, and we're not web scraping and taking off of pictures. We have hundreds of thousands of man hours of standing around with weapons in all different positions, to the point that we can't do concealed. That's more of a sensor issue, because that's millimeter wave technology, which is not quite there yet, and a lot of people don't like being bombarded with microwaves constantly. But we have the ability to, as that weapon's being drawn or pulled out, to detect it even before it's fully drawn. We do get what are called false positives, and that's kind of one of the key things here. That's the one things that we strive for. You're always going to have a false positive in the system. The key is limiting how many you get. So a false positive for us is acceptable. Somebody pulling out their cell phone that looks like it's a gun, somebody having a gun on their shirt. We actually had one the other day where a janitor was pushing their machine, and at a quick glance, and that's kind of the way we look at it, it looked like he was carrying a rifle, and it picked it up. So we went back and we discovered it wasn't, but that was the great part about the false positive. One, it tells us our system is working, and two, it allows us to train that model. If you have what's called a false negative, where you missed the gun completely, your model's shot. So we have not found that we have any false negatives like that. And about every 3 months, we take all that data from all the customers. There's a false positive, and we're averaging about a little bit over one a month in a system, which is fine for us. And the way we stop that, as I explained before, is it goes to a person first, and we also have a backup through a monitoring system. God forbid the first responders or the SRO gets taken out or somebody gets hurt that's a responder like that. For us, because we're going to be monitoring it, it's whoever gets to that button first, like Jeopardy, and says go. And we basically work with the schools on training them on it. We also work with the police departments, so they're familiar with it. We actually participate in their active training drills, things like that, run them with them. They have the ability to also see some of the school's cameras if that's what the schools allow. The nice part about it is let's say there's an active shooting in a city, but the county sheriff wants to know what's going on, they can get those alerts as well. We don't take any of the school's data. All we're basically do is intercepting the feed and doing modeling and weapons detection on it. Any more questions? In the back right there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you do facial recognition,
So
such as
we
badge
do
ID
not
with
use
students?
facial recognition. We could. We just decided that it was too much to try weapons detection and facial detection at the time. And from our perspective, there were other companies that were further ahead from us, so it was just easier for us to integrate with their solution. It's a tough road to go down politically, and in the news, a lot of folks object to it. So we tend to just kind of stick with the weapons recognition and detection because it's metal, and it doesn't raise the passion like facial detection does or things like that. Amazon tried it and you saw the response to it.
Is there more to the question?
Yeah, the other part of that is that I would suggest churches are a big market as well, because they're almost all now having policemen inside and wandering around the church during Sundays and so on, and also with charter schools.
Sorry, we're struggling to hear you. Could you say it one more time?
There's another market with churches.
Absolutely.
A number of churches I work with have security staffs at the front door as well as wandering around through that. Do you actually identify where those officers are continuously so that staff can find out where that officer is in the building or in the campus?
I didn't hear that.
So I think the question was about where the security officer is on premise. Is that right? So are you able to track the security officer in the school or the church and know where they are on property?
if let's say they've got so first of all, yeah, absolutely with churches. We saw it's after the last two shootings in Texas and Ohio, we actually saw probably got about 6 or 7 churches that actually called in and wanted to get this solution. As far as tracking the police officer, we would track him based upon his weapon as he moved, so we could see that because he's got it holstered, so that's going to pick him up. We integrate into solutions like that. That's like I would call that a Blue Force tracker, but most of the VMS systems have something like that. So when we integrate with that, that's what would pick most of that up. We're very agnostic when it comes to what we tie into. You've got your milestones, you've got Gentech. We use those just because they've got a great map platform. If a company that signs on or school doesn't have a VMS, we have our own user interface that allows us to actually operate in the same plane.
Let's do one more.
Hi, first off, thank you for creating this technology.
You're
It's
welcome.
just, I mean, I applaud you seriously. So amazing. Secondly, how do our partners buy this? Do we buy it through Arrow? Or-
What a great question.
That's a great
Linda.
question, and I'll make it very quick. So I have to give great thanks to Arrows. Where's Woody Woods? That's my man back there, man. Without him, I would probably not be back into the Arrow fold. I'd been an Arrow partner in a different company, that did social media analysis, things like that. And I first met Woody back in 2013, and then when I came back on board with ZeroEyes, just a little bit about myself. I was actually done. I was retiring. I've had 57 surgeries from the military and things like that, and I was just kind of done, getting ready to retire, heading to Nicaragua, had my house rented. And I get introduced to ZeroEyes, and all of a sudden, about 2 years ago, it just kind of exploded. So at that point, as we started building the solution, we figured we need partners. So the way it works with our partnership program, I can either sign you up as a full reseller, where you get a per camera price and things like that, where you're actually selling it. And then, yes, absolutely, as you sell that, that license would come back through Arrow. We also do a referral program if you're a sales organization and you don't have the bodies to do the install and the integration. We also work that out as well. And what we do is we kind of pair you with a partner that's in that same area that does do the install and the integration. And like I said, it's not a heavy lift. We're doing most of the work. If we already have the IP addresses, we can basically install them already in the computer. So when you show up, it's about a day, day and a half to add 50 cameras. And that's the nice part about working with Arrow. The biggest issue for us as a company is not sales. I mean, as you know, it's a horrible issue. And we're not having any issues with selling it. The biggest crux for us is ensuring that we can keep up and scale it very quickly, because the solution scales great. But we need the partners to come on board, such as Arrow. We're actually buying our equipment through Arrow as well, where they have the ability to load our software on it, stock it for us, and have it ready to go. Because these schools, when they sign up, or businesses, don't want me to tell them, hey, it's going to be 2 weeks for hardware, 2 weeks for setup. They want to go right as it is. So that's what we've been doing right now with Arrow, is having it staged for us so we can launch it and go from there. And the other part we're using Arrow for too is as a smaller company, cash flow is king. We could have the greatest sales trajectory in the world, but if we can't have the money to go out and buy the equipment, we're gonna choke on it, because we don't get paid till after it's done. And with Arrow Capital having the ability to pick up our contract and work with us that way, we have the ability to do our purchasing. So that's why we've picked Arrow as our partner. I have a lot of experience with IBM, and we've used the IVA platform as well, which is why we're connected back to Arrow. So big thanks to Woody. I wish Amy Bubonic was here as well. Jay Cobb, Meredith, Mary Beck, everybody has been great and helped us push this forward. So if you do want to talk to me after we're done, I'll kind of go over by the side. Kale and I can be there, and we can talk real quick, give our cards, and change information.
Good. Well, thanks, Billy. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks,
very
guys.
much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Keep rolling here. We're going to transition to blue lights. So let's roll the video.
For decades, I2 Analyst's notebook has been at the forefront of law enforcement and national security, protecting our citizens and communities around the world. For over 15 years, Blue Light has been the industry-leading provider of support and services for this amazing product, providing law enforcement, security officers, and government officials the ability to resolve their security issues daily. From national security, major and minor crimes, bombings, mass shootings, and more, Blue Light has ensured that I2 Analyst's notebook has been applied to emerging threats since 9/11. Today, school shootings and corporate violence are the focus of most public sector and corporate security managers. Blue Light's school and corporate risk management solutions, based on its Blue Fusion platform, permits security managers to leverage all the data at their fingertips to identify security and risk issues and resolve them before they affect their organization.
Welcome, Bruce.
How's it going, boss?
Good.
Hey, thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Bruce Parkman, CEO of Blue Light. I'm a retired Green Beret Sergeant Major. If you don't know what Green Berets are, we're better looking than Navy SEALs, and we don't do movies. I got some amazing Navy SEAL friends, by the way. Retired in 2001 before the towers fell. Did a 15 months in a little war called El Salvador, where They dropped me off in the jungle with a radio for 6 months. But since then, we've been on an amazing journey with I2 Analyst Notebook, taking it to use cases, protecting our schools now, and law enforcement and military for years. And along the way, I somehow got married, got 3 beautiful kids. I learned to play the bagpipes. I raised pigs, and I run 150 miler a year. Wow. Busy guy.
Bruce threatened to bring his bagpipes in this morning, but we passed on that.
Somebody was going to shoot me if he said he heard them in the morning when I...
So you guys have been around for a while. I mean, what are you doing with the I2 technology in today's world?
So, I2's been around for almost 30 years, and the product is an amazing product. It's like a 350 small block motor. It just keeps running, The issue is it's traditionally been a thick install client. One laptop, one computer. What we've done now is we've built an intellectual property product called Blue Fusion around that brings it into the 21st century. So for the first time, we've taken that small block motor, and we're doing federated searches. We can tie into any database for the customer, inside, outside, no matter cloud, on-prem. We're allowed to do federated searches for the first time. And basically, we're putting a supercharger and nitrous oxide on that engine, and we're fast and furious. So that's what we're doing with it.
Great. Why don't you tell us a bit about Blue Light?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Jasper Trollet, Nathan Bulow, Woody Woods, Mary Beck for allowing
me.
And of course you, and Arrow, right? This is an amazing opportunity for us, and we wouldn't be up there without the ability and their invite to come on in. So in 1945, in a concentration camp, a general, a sergeant major, and a pilot were brought up to be executed, and were given one last wish by the commandant. The general said, I want to give this big talk to my troops and tell them how proud I am of them. The Air Force pilot, of course, wanted to go on a date with a woman and get a steak and a glass of wine. He looked at the sergeant major and said, what do you want, sergeant major? He said, please shoot me before the general starts talking. So I don't believe in long-winded approaches, but I do only have a couple minutes to tell you about an amazing product, an amazing team, an amazing solution that every day is saving lives in this country, and we've been doing this for 15 years, and now there's an unbelievable opportunity for our business partners through Arrow to do the same for your customers. And this is not just law enforcement and military where it's been. We're in private sector now, we're in healthcare, we're in education. We are now being given supply side analytics, demand side analytics, moving into logistics and inventory. And when you see the power of what we're doing, at the price point, there's opportunity for all of us in this room to not only make some money, but to do good. And that is the essential purpose of our company. So who are we? We'll know a little bit about it. We are Arrow and IBM's go-to partner for I2 Analyst Notebook. We're the only pure play company other than one in Australia, of which I'm an owner in the world. That's how much I love this product and how much I trust it. We host the International Summit. It's in DC next year, the global summit for I2 Analyst Notebooks. We have more expertise on our team than literally any company in the world with the exception of IBM. And we are always on the cutting front of innovative solutions for our customers, no matter where they're at. We have been in Iraq and Afghanistan since the war started. We do amazing things for our law enforcement customers, and there's not a customer in this room that you can't bring me to that I cannot do something for them through you. So, again, we bring solutions to your customers that they don't know about. When you look at the use cases on the left, some of them are new. I2 has traditionally been in the military and law enforcement space since the mid-90s. And it is it's an amazing technology, as we'll get to that in a little bit. But now education. We're now going into schools, and we are FERPA and HIPAA compliant. We're the guys that take the technologies like the one you just saw, ZeroEyes. We take facial recognition products. Rank 1 is in the audience here. We lock doors with a face, okay? And then we are able to take all that data, bring it in social media, anonymous texting, dark web data, all the OSINT data that's out there, and create profiles of problematic individuals that need help, and getting these kids into the care system before they become a statistic. I'm here in Colorado. We all know the impact of shootings in our state. And as a father, this was an amazing opportunity. And we just got our first install in Beverly Hills, 90210. And it is all about that too. It's 90210. and we'll be going live here in 2 weeks. So we're very excited now. We've been through all the legal reviews, and we're moving out. Healthcare is a new industry for us. Demand and supply side inventory, logistics, aggregating sensor data, mining that. It's amazing what we can do. And when you put our IP in it, around I2 and the abilities of I2, you get safer companies, safer communities, safer schools, and a safer country, along with more efficient companies that are your customers. So why an Analyst Notebook? People, if Analyst Notebook was a woman, I would be on my knees proposing to her. That's how much I love this tool, and my company loves this tool. This tool is the most prolific data visualization and link analytical tool in the world. It's got a 500,000 install base. It's in 130 countries, over 100 countries in every continent. We literally train and enable customers on every continent with the exception of Antarctica, because it's just a little bit too cold. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's down there. It's highly scalable, and it's unmatched for data analytics. This little tool can take millions and millions and millions of data points and find the commonalities between them so that you get pictures of your data that you've never seen before. And that's just with I2. When you start normalizing data and pulling in social media and OSINT data and unstructured data now, right, you get levels of granularity and you're able to make decisions. And guess what you as the business partners can do? Once we find the problems, who gets paid to fix them? The business partners. So there's a lot of opportunities here, not just for Blue Light and Arrow, but for the business partners as well. And there's an entire ecosystem of plugins. You cannot name a sensor or a data point or something that you want to analyze that somebody has not built a plugin. It's like an Apple store. I mean, even IBM has got their own little connector store. I mean, we use geospatial plugins, facial recognition plugins, biometrics plugins, weapons ID plugins. I mean, there's a ton of them out there. So the ability to track that data is immense. And where can it be found? It's everywhere, folks. Right? Everywhere. And as you move to the right, that's where it's evolving, the private sector. And that's what we're so excited about, taking something that has historically been a military and law enforcement tool and taking it to the public sector. I have saved countless American lives in Iraq and Afghanistan with this technology. Every day, my company takes molesters, rapists, arsonists, very, very bad people off the streets. We're protecting law enforcement, we're protecting our companies, and we believe in this product, and that's why we're following it. And you can see from a business partner perspective, there is opportunity here because the use cases are throughout the U.S. economy. So why are we here? It's not just about money, folks. It's about doing good at the same time and taking advantage of opportunities to sell solutions into your partners that make a difference, that protect them, that make them more efficient, that increase their operational effectiveness. You have the software, you have the distribution, you have the marketing. We come in with the reputation, we're the only preferred service provider in North America, and we enable people around the world. And our reputation is stellar. I have personally identified a multi-billion-dollar market for our technology working with channel like you to get this out there. These solutions can average anywhere from 50 grand to $20 million. I got several deals with $20 million on the table right now. That's the type of scalability that we're talking about. I could go into your sub shops and help them find out how much turkey they're using at what time of day. I can also go to their headquarters and aggregate all their security data for all their sub shops around the country. So that's where the opportunity is. And we're turning this into not just a license sale, but a 5-year recurring sale model. Okay, Arrow's been working with us on various special pricing opportunities. So now we can turn this from an OpEx spend to a CapEx spend, or a CapEx to an OpEx spend. Because a lot of our customers out there have credit card limits. Okay, they don't want to spend 80 grand up front. They'd like to spend $49.99 a month for a longer period of time. Just like carpet, buying a car, okay? That's what we're doing. We're changing the model to work with channel like you and bring opportunity and value. Now, the advantages of our stack, real quick, it's agnostic. That means a lot to our customers because there's no vendor lock. So we allow them to recurrently stay with best-in-breed technologies. You don't like this facial recognition product? Next one's out, great. Social media product, our platform's been introduced to the military as the new open source intelligence platform. Why? Because social media tools evolve every 60 days. The military now does not want to buy a social media platform for 5 years when new technologies evolve. We allow them to move from platform. Your customers move from a database to go from DB2 to SQL with Red Hat. They're starting to move to Red Hat. We go with you. We allow you to take your data wherever you go. We have no impact on the data stack. We just query the data. And you'll see how powerful that is and why IT loves us so much, because we don't move that data. Federated searches, we allow you to hit all your data with one click, not pull, all this pulling and pushing. No, one click, you hit 20, 30 different data sources coming back, Houston, LexisNexis. We don't care where your data is, subscription-based data, open source data. We bring it in, we pile the algorithms on it, and we find your solution. And we make I2 better. And I talked about the affordability and the ecosystem of plugins. They are all over the place. And we can literally bring in a plugin or adapt to any sensor that you have. IoT, bring it on. We can bring that data in. We just moved into cyber, putting our stuff into security operations centers, because a lot of the SIM analytics, they're shallow. You need to deep dive that. Plus, you want to mix that SIM data with other data sources. It's just SIM data. All right, that's great. What about social media data, internal records, employee records, counseling records, all this legal stuff? Bring it in, put it together. So here's the power. First of all, we don't care where your data is. It could be on your stack in your office. It could be in a data center. It could be on the cloud. You could be on public clouds or government clouds, FedRAMP certified clouds. We don't care if your data is structured or unstructured. You got Excel and CSV files, that's great. What about all the text documents that you have? We have natural language processing and machine learning capabilities that can mine those documents and bring back that data. We can do videos, we can do video feeds, we can do photography. We can bring in anything you want, and we don't care what the format is. Anything, any type of stack that you got your data in, we don't care. We build the connector to talk to that stack and bring that data back. And then all the new data that's out there, internet, dark web data, social media data, when all that is brought into our platform, your customers have unbelievable granularity and visibility in their data they never had before. Why? Because these data sets have never been seen together. They've never been normalized. They've never, ever had social media and legal records in the same pile. Oh my God. We went to a bank and we took their SIM data, mixed it with their internal data that was all over the place, and we saw patterns that they just could not believe. And we do this every day. Now, who here has seen Avengers Endgame? Just a couple? All right.
I saw it twice.
So you got these Infinity Stones, right? You got one for time, you got one for space, you got one for energy, and I think there's one for Tom Brady or something like that, you know? Now these Infinity Stones. Well, guess what? Do they work together? No. What made the Infinity Stones work together? The glove. We're the glove, man. I'm the dwarf in the star, right? With the hands that Thanos melted. And so instead of, time and energy and space and Tom Brady, right? You get legal and social media data. We take all that data, no matter where it's at, and we put it in that glove. And we protect your customers and your consumers. We're the glove. Blue light, glove, data, money, safe people. Okay, let's a little stop right there. Okay, I'm done. All right, we'll go drink a beer. Okay, but we're the glove. We're the glove. We bring this together in a way that empowers your customers like they've never seen, because nobody's ever normalized disparate data for them. And at our price point, we're not rolling in with a 18-wheel truck with servers and all that stuff. No, man, it's a server application. I need 2 terabytes of server app state anywhere you want, and we can put our technology on there. So the use cases, you can see where we're at right now. This is what we're doing every day. This is what I2 and IBM do every day as well. And as we move into corporate security risk management, gun violence, sexual harassment, we went to one customer, and we thought they were healthcare. We thought they were concerned about, you might have some gang members in your OR. You might have other gang members visiting to kill them. I mean, I'm a Green Beret. That's kind of stuff I would think you'd want to know. And they said, yeah, that's kind of important. But what can you do for sexual harassment, disgruntled employees, and disgruntled patients? That was their pain point, litigation. So we told them what we can do. We can find all that data, bring it in, identify problematic individuals, these professional patients that go from hospital to hospital. Give me opiates, give drugs. I want drugs, man, I want drugs. Okay? We find these people, put them on a beyond the lookout BOLO report, and if they show up at the hospital, bam, we lock the doors with their face. Okay? That's the kind of stuff that we're bringing. In education right now, I mean, we are doing amazing things for our schools. I mean, it's just amazing what we can go in and address, the criticality of human beings coming to school with an intention to harm another human being. And we can help this dilemma, and we are helping it every day. But you look at where we're at right now, and in school violence, 1% of the events in schools involve weapons. What is up with the other 99% of the events that become indicators of problematic children that could be gone to school? That's where we fit in. Not only can we identify the last minute individual that's coming to school through social media analytics, through anonymous texting. We have anonymous texting partners right now that are so anonymous, not even the NSA can break them. And it's been proven in court. And that gives the teachers and the students right now the power to report. We're seeing kids right now that are reporting sexting messages, videos that they never shared before because they know it's anonymous. But we're able to identify the other 99% of events: bullying, cyberbullying, self-harm, harassment, molestation, sex, drugs, alcohol, that are indicators. And who knows what the number one indicator of problematic children are in our schools? Attendance. Number one indicator. High correlation between problematic children and attendance. And one of our counselors is big on that, one of our advisors of schools. But anyways, doing amazing things. Fraud, bring me some healthcare fraud. I will make you a ton of money in healthcare fraud because there's a ton of it out there. But we bring all this to you. So how do we support you? We don't want you to do anything but open the door. We are here for you. We are your experts. We have a full-on marketing team. My marketing guy sold 22 billion video games, okay? We can do cutting-edge marketing. We can do military marketing. We market and we co-brand. We are your partner. Sales support, we got the largest sales team outside of IBM just for I2, and we're there for you. All my salespeople are users. They're military. They're law enforcement. And they've used this operationally for years. Enormous amounts of credibility. And we do the proposals, we'll do the pricing, everything comes through you. Delivery, full on. Installation, configuration, support. We enable. One of the largest crimes in America right now is selling software without training. What the heck is that all about? You know how much shelfware we run into around the world? It's like, oh, we bought this great stuff, but nobody taught us how to use it. Some salesman, hey, got my commission check. Gone, right? We will come in and we will not leave until your customers are moving out. And they're finding problems and solving the problems. And then as a PSP, we're your post-sales guy. Everything you need, we're going to take care of for you. Okay, we'll be there for your customers. We do technical support, level 1, level 2, level 3 with our own IP. We'll maintain those relationships for you at the technical level. You own the relationship. We'll never mess with that. And then we provide sustainment and upgrades and maintenance. So all in all, we are here for you. We have problems in this country that evolve all the time, and there is an analytical solution out there called Blue Fusion and a company out there called Blue Light that is here to help. You have opportunities, you have clients with problems, we can help you with your clients' problems, and we can successfully move out together into this crazy world and make it a much, much better place. My name is Bruce Parkman. I want to thank you all for your time here, and I appreciate the 20 minutes that I got to give a 1-hour speech.
Excellent job, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any questions from the audience here? Going once?
Tick, tock, tick.
Going twice?
See, I should have brought my bagpipes.
We could have played Jeopardy music here. When we went, you know. We got one here?
There's one in the back, too. What's that?
You run 50 milers and you raise pigs. He wants to know about your pig farm.
Oh, okay. So when I grew up, I lived in a very poor household. You know, I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, you know,
Barefoot.
that kind of stuff. Barefoot with no shoes, right? So because our welfare family was the only family with a plot of land, we went in with 3 other welfare families and we built a pig pen in the back. So when I moved to Colorado, I've got an amazing 16-year-old son, and I wanted him to experience what it's like. We have chicken coops, what it's like to raise animals. I love the smell of manure. So we just started raising pigs, and we had a pair of Cooney pigs. If you ever seen the Hobbit movie, and the dwarf comes in on the big hairy pig, my son saw that and flipped out. So we got a breeding pair. They're right at the house. You go to open up the garage, pigs there. We feed them dog bones. I mean, pigs are amazing, dude. They taste good too, but you know they are amazing animals. Yeah, no problem.
There's one here in the back.
Yeah, just the question is my wife's a high school teacher, and a couple of my techs also go into the home and take care of iPhones and so on that the teenagers have, and they're finding that over 50% of the girls especially have revealing pictures of themselves and so on through the social media. There's a lot of going on between the students, the harassment, all that in school. Do you track that aspect as well to notify the administration? Because that's sexual harassment, that's all the issues that can lead up to other things.
If I understood the question well, because after 21 years, I'm not a very good hearing, but it's all about social media and do we track that and report it to administration?
So his wife's a high school teacher,
Okay.
and 50% of the female students have some sort of revealing photographs that they're putting on social media. And do you
Roger.
track that, and are you able to notify?
We, as a FERPA and HIPAA compliant solution within a school system, our ability to use social media is highly limited by the actual social media platforms because they don't allow targeting. What we are able to do with social media, though, is once we have an individual that has been identified as problematic, we can go ahead and leverage social media tools to look at the accounts that they have and bring that information back to the administration. So if a female student is, just chucking, pictures of herself out there on the internet, of course, I've got a 16-year-old son, right? It's horrific in a certain regard. Our ability, if that is reported through our anonymous texting app, then yes, we can go ahead and act on that. We can talk to the school, we get it to the school officials. Now, on our school solution, we don't operate it. And that's the beauty of this, is it's owned by the school. FERPA, to be compliant with data, because we're talking about personally identifiable information, PII. In order to be compliant with PII, the school has to operate the system. So usually it's the SRO. The schools can hire analysts. Sometimes they take off-duty police officers because that too is very prevalent within the law enforcement community. And so once they're able to identify a problematic individual, then the schools build the process depending on the level of threat. Of course, if it's a weapons industry or incident or a mass shooting, and our company has handled some of the most horrific mass shootings in this country, including schools. We're under a gag order, so we've seen it. We're able to notify the administration that we've got a social media problem here, and then they go through the administrative procedures to go ahead and notify the parents. We do not scrape the internet for the entire school system, the school list, to see what kids are doing on social media. It's when it's just like in the military, once we have an area of concern, an individual concern, then we're able to mine all the internal data and go look on the open source and the internet platforms, including social media, to build a good, robust picture of this individual that obviously has an issue and get them into the care system, whether it's family services, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's counseling, whether it's just a smack upside the head, right, to go ahead and get them addressed. But we do not scrape the social media for revealing photos. No, sir. But we will look at problematic individuals that are causing problems with social media within the school.
We'll take one more here in the back, and then we'll transition.
Hi. Obviously, mass shootings have been a huge problem for us. I happen to live in Boca Raton, Florida, next to Parkland, which a couple of years ago, everybody know what happened there. Having a wife that's a grade school teacher, I see that budgets are sort of non-existent. So how have you been able to break into organizations or municipalities or any organizations that notoriously don't have huge budgets to correct an issue or to bring a solution to the table? Who have you spoken to, and how do you crack that? I mean, have you seen budgets open up because of all these issues? Or tell me a little bit about your experience with opening up doors within large organizations such as school districts, such as et cetera.
So if I understand correctly, the question was creatively, school systems, municipalities have tight budgets.
Right.
So
Okay.
how are you able to bring some creative solutions around?
Yes, sir. And I think you mentioned you're a teacher. So all you educators out there, thank you so much, and your spouses for what they do for our children. So, of course, Beverly Hills, right, raises $700 million for school security, right? Yeah. No budget issues there. But you are talking about one of the most problematic issues that we have when we go into education is where's the money, right? And just so you know, in the school districts, the persons that have the purse strings are the superintendent and the school board. So first we go to them and we get their interest, because what we're doing for the schools is not only improving their security, but we're lowering their litigative risk, because now they're being proactive when it comes to schools. Nobody wants to be in Parkland's case, as you mentioned, where for whatever the combination of events that they really didn't do enough. Nobody wants to go in front of their community and say, we didn't do enough. And insurance is just not enough anymore. So through proactive solutions like ours, we're able to lower the risk to the school. So that's one of the value props that we hit the superintendents and school boards up. Then they say, how much? Now, we, on the education side, we discount heavily because it's education. And it's a relatively new use case for us. So we are actively seeking, new accounts, of course, and we'll work with you. But where the schools have been going are to our grants. So there are several grants, and I can give you a list that come off the Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security websites. There's E911 money, which is a huge pot of money here in Colorado. There's the safety grant here in Colorado that schools can apply for, and now includes technology. So the schools have to learn how to manage the grant system. So I usually suggest to them, if they don't have a grant writer, or if they really want the system, we'll work with the grant writer to write the grant. Education, like all public sector sales, is a long sales cycle. You got to involve a lot of people. With Beverly Hills, look at the stakeholders. You got the police, you got the school board, you got the PTO, you got the unions, you got the students union, everybody, right? We had to bring all these people together and get consensus that this is a good solution and we're going to do good for these people. So creativity, that's why we come up with 5-year budget plans. So we allow the schools to budget. We help them out in the first year, and then we can go ahead and recoup some of our costs in the back year. And by spreading out the software and the services over a 5-year period, we're able to rapidly and dramatically lower those costs and try to make it affordable for the schools. But that is it is a significant problem, is resourcing these issues. And at the price point that we're at right now, we are affordable. So we usually come in for a large school system. We're within 30 to 50 cents per child per month to put our system in, and over the 5-year period. So smaller school systems, because there's just smaller, like private schools, they're a little bit higher. But the highest we've ever seen is like $40 per year for a child for a private school, but that's because they only had 700 kids and they wanted the atomic engine and all the other fancy stuff.
They were in Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills is a trip, man. It's a whole different world.
Bruce, it's been excellent. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. All right, before we bring up the next couple of folks to spend some time with us, 2 great solutions that you just heard about that are solving some sensitive, they're sensitive, but some real challenges in our country. But what I think is really cool about it is both companies are driven by and led by military, ex-military folks. So taking the experience that they've gotten while protecting our country and effectively doing the same thing here back at home. So we could, for the folks in the room that are military, but also for these two companies, I'd like to thank them for their service, and maybe just a quick round of applause for that. I do appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to invite up some leaders from our engineering, finance, and services group, as I mentioned in my openers. Look at these fine gentlemen. Look at that. Looking good, guys. Welcome. This is like the round of applause I got yesterday when I came out.
No applause.
No. Woo! All right, so we're, again, this is the show and tell portion of the event. So a couple of great solutions put together by Arrow, solving some problems that you saw to start us off. These gentlemen here are all with Arrow. I will introduce you, I guess, quickly, and then we'll jump in. So, Wayne Peters, raise your hand, please, sir. Kind of Wayne runs our Arrow Capital Solutions business. We're going to start off with him. Lalo Montenegro runs our services group, and Adam is responsible for our engineering resources. So, we're going to give you just a little bit of color here on each of these capabilities, some real-life examples, because again, rather than just talk about it, we'd like to show you that we're doing these things. So for me, as a sales leader at Arrow, our capital solutions business is like gold. This business is growing. I mean, Wayne's got a great team. They do a fantastic job for my team. It's growing at 60 or 70%, depending on what month or metric you look at, which is amazing. I've seen, personally worked with Wayne and his team on a number of deals over the last few years to be able to pull in, 3-5-year deals, be able to finance them in creative ways, be able to turn it into to OpEx models. We've built programs together with suppliers as well that are white labeled and or branded. I'm going to steal your whole presentation for you, Wayne.
You're doing a great
job.
job.
The ability to put embedded terms on your quotes to your customers, so when that quote is signed, your customer has accepted those terms. Immediately we're into DocuSign. I mean, we've really turned this, we've really poured gas on our financing business, and I really appreciate it. So, Wayne, if you'd like to take it from here.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ben. And I think a lot has happened and changed over the last 12 years since we started Arrow Capital. Not only is the way that customers are acquiring products changed, but so too is the way that we're financing them. And you might be surprised to know that Arrow Capital has grown double-digit rates over the last 5 years, and we attribute that to the fact that we've taken something that a lot of salespeople consider complex, and we've turned it into a customer experience. Having been born inside of a distributor, we're built for the channel. If you haven't done business with Arrow lately, just share with you a few statistics. Last year, smallest deal we did was $3,000. The largest deal we did was $27 million. Our average ticket size right now is just under $400,000.
You financed $3,000?
We did. We financed $3,000 over 12 monthly payments. Don't ask me why, but that's what they wanted. So, as Bruce said, not everybody wants to use their credit card. So, the portfolio is changing in a lot of different ways based on how the market's moving, and so the fastest growing segment that we have is software. We're financing a lot of software. Most software sells in 3 annual payments with a first payment deferred to 30, 60, or 90 days. We're doing about 33% of our business is cloud now. We treat IoT and the solutions that you just heard about, we treat those like managed services and finance them by embedding our terms into the statement of work. And then I would tell you that 23% of our business is public sector today. The majority of that is SLED, but I'm really pleased to announce that we just launched a new program with Imix Group, which is our distribution arm that focuses in the federal space, and we're starting to see opportunity related to that already. I'll keep this moving because I know we're time pressured. This is really the last slide that I have, and it really takes you through kind of an overview of the models that we're doing. I won't talk about every single thing that's up here, But what's really popular right now is not being able to, or not have to make payments until next year as people's budgets are tightening up. We're doing a lot of variation in our payment models. We've got custom programs. Over the last couple of years, we've opened up a lot of supplier programs as well as partner programs. I was talking to several partners here at this event where they want to have a branded program where we deliver the services and do the work for them, provide the models, but it's all under their branding, not ours, and we have that capability and are able to do that. We do a lot of embedded terms, so if you think about a traditional financial agreement, we speak more in terms of payment agreements, extended payment terms today than we do contracts and those things. We can do business like that, and we have really streamlined documents, but we also embed terms right into your sales quote. Customer signs that, and that becomes the financial contract over the term. And a lot of sales guys like that. We embed our terms, as I said, into the statement of work. We do a lot of software subscriptions today, and we have a great consumption model that doesn't have gotchas in it. I know there's few of them out there, and everybody looks different. Ours is straightforward, simplified, and it doesn't have any gotchas for that. I would say...
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So since you've put the embedded terms in, which for me and the sales team has been fantastic, what percentage-wise, what are you seeing going down as embedded term versus your traditional process?
Honestly, I'd say it's 60-40 today.
Yeah.
So 40% is embedded terms and 60%. Again, the customer experience piece is building an integrated solution that your salespeople are comfortable delivering. And so by embedding the terms into the sales quotes or the managed services agreements, they become much more comfortable with the presentation of that. I'd leave you with the fact that the other thing that we're doing is about 85% of everything that we do, we deliver electronically today. So it's less and less about manual documents that you're handing to somebody and more about speed of use. 9 o'clock at night on a quarter end, 10 o'clock at night on a quarter end, click, click, and we've got a deal and we're releasing purchase orders.
Excellent.
Thank you, Ben.
Great job. Thanks, Wayne.
Yep.
Lalo,
Ben,
welcome.
thank you.
Tell us about, tell the group here about what we have going on from a services perspective.
Yeah, so we've started this year making a major change of how we go to market with our services organization. In years past, we've tried to be everything to everyone at all times, and really, those of you who do services know that that's just impossible to please everyone all the time. So what we did is we took out the majority of the stuff we said we could do, and we're putting that on the back burner and really focusing in on key suppliers that we have skewed services for. Skewed services for us is ease of doing business for you guys. It's a predefined way to kind of augment your services bench to be able to deliver your solutions to your partners on time and under budget using qualified resources. In those skewed services, that you can do anything from installation, optimization, and then some new products that we have out are expertise on demand. So you need an engineer for a block of hours to augment your bench, right? We have the capability to be able to do that for you.
So with the expertise on demand, which it's not a new concept, but it's gaining some good traction for us. But what are you seeing percentage-wise on acceleration to next purchase?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you're using expertise on demand, we'll use Splunk for a good example. Yeah, right. The more data you ingest, the more the higher licenses you need to go get. So the time to the next order is cut down by 42%. I mean, that's impactful for not only you as the VAR selling that solution, but it's meaningful to your end users by allowing you to use the technology with efficiency.
Good. Bruce said you buy software with no training, so it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about skewed services, not everything can fit in a nice little box, although we want it to. We have the ability to be able to break those out, right? If you need smart hands, if you need someone to be in South Dakota in the middle of winter, right? Nobody's going to want to go there, but we can help you deliver that in that territory. And then kind of rounding that out from an augmentation perspective, right? You have longer engagements that you don't want to use someone on your bench, right? We can help you find those headcount accounts to be able to knock out a long-term project. When we talk about our support services, right, we have level 1, level 2 engineers. From a Palo perspective, right, we are actually picking up the phone in an average of 30 minutes, right? Our supplier does a really good job of supporting their customers, but they're not reaching the support calls in I think the last number I heard was 2 hours. We're here to help augment you and augment our supplier in the same way. So if speed to market for your customers is important, right, we have an ability to be able to do that for you. I've also been asked, Lalo, you had help desk a year ago, that kind of went away. I went and found a supplier to be able to do help desk for us. So there's another ability there. I'm building out a support services organization to meet your needs. So as I have conversations with you out in the market, right, you're telling me where your needs are, and if I don't have a service, I'm putting on the list to be able to go find a way to deliver that. I want to make sure that we talk about integration. I'm seeing large VARs really think about what they're doing in terms of integration. Either they're getting too big and have to buy new facilities or buy new headcount. It's an expensive venture, and there's a trend now where that is. They're coming to Arrow to say, can you take this off my desk? It's expensive. Do you have services for us to be able to do that? Arrow has done a good job now of breaking down some silos where it was you talk to this person for X, you talk to that person for Y. Now when it comes to services, anything services, you come to my group and we'll be the quarterback for you to get you to the right people at the right time. So, everything from basic asset tagging to full custom chassis builds, right? We have the ability to help you out there. From a supply chain perspective, if you're building something, right, we have an ability to have you set up a supply chain that makes it impactful to your business. Forecasting, being able to bring the right products in at the right time, integrate them, and getting them out delivered to your partners is an important piece. And then when you're talking about global delivery, more often than not, we're getting our customers into global opportunities where they're asking us to implement in the United States and deliver across the ocean. Right, we have the ability to be able to talk about that and move those things forward. I came across an end user testimonial around Palo Alto and our support services there. And I talked about the 30-minute wait time versus the 2-hour wait time. This customer here really had thought was going to be a poor experience. He called the 800 number, had a problem, found out that his VAR sold him a Arrow-based service and was angry because he thought he was getting a Palo Alto service. Long story short, his experience with us was phenomenal. So phenomenal, he gave us a 2-paragraph recommendation. This right here, the moral of this story is that our organization is helping this gentleman go to sleep at night. Out of 10 suppliers that he has to manage in the data center, he doesn't have to think about Palo Alto because he knows we've got his back when it comes to that. So think about Arrow. My team will be out there talking to you about our capabilities. The number one thing I hear from our partners is, I didn't know you did that. I'm on a trail of education. I'm on a trail of making you look better. Trust in this in between us and you is going to be paramount. Your reputations are important to you. They're important to me as well. So I'm looking to make you look better. The last thing I want to kind of leave you with is end user requirements, right? That augmentation, if you have a difficult installation or can't get somewhere, right? Don't walk away from the opportunity. Come to me. Let's find out if I have the ability to be able to solve that problem for you. The number one thing that you should leave here with is I'm going to give you a firm yes or a no, but here's what we can do within 24 hours. That way you can make a decision to move on if you need to. No more waiting for us to be able to deliver this. So thank you.
Thank you, Lalo. Adam, AC. Yes, sir. Good morning. How is everyone? Good, yeah, all right.
Yeah. I think we need like some 5-hour energies in here or something. You guys ready? So I got a demo kit in back. I'm going to do 30 minutes of demos and then prizes. Just kidding. Lalo, great job. Professional services. Wayne, fantastic. Aero Capital. But you know what we need before you can use either one of your services? A solution, right? It's got to be engineered. So that's where my team really comes into play. Everybody gets the use of aero engineering around enablement and these types of ideas to help you grow your businesses. Still core to our strategy and what we'll deliver. But I want you to think a little bit differently. I want you to think about using my team, our team, to help you dream, to make, create, and to deliver, right? And that's what we do. So we have a couple situations up here, solutions that we've built. I'll just touch on the first one, law enforcement, and then I'm going to move to our open lab because I think we're already behind, so I'll give you some time back, Ben. But in this particular law enforcement scenario, this was an amazing opportunity. Our partner came to us and they said, hey, we're really good in the data center space, right? We're really good with this object storage system that we have. But our customer is asking us for more. And so we partnered with their technical teams and we came up with this solution, right? We did the research in conjunction with our partner, right? But we did some of that research and we said, hey, it looks like this type of body camera that integrates this way, that looks like this and this type of network and blah, 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 all the cool tech stuff that goes into it. And we helped that partner from idea to execution of this solution for their customer. And it was phenomenal. It was so good that we went on the road with them to multiple shows, right, and put their shirt on and help present to other agencies, right, where this solution would fit in. Phenomenal job, phenomenal partnership, great example. One of the things that I'm most excited about, though, is this new space here in Colorado. We're so lucky to have this be our corporate headquarters. We're making a massive investment in our Dry Creek facility. We're calling this the Colorado Open Lab, and there's a couple elements to it. You'll hear more. But for this audience, I want you to think of it this way. Right? This is going to be our ECS EBC. And this thing is amazing. There's some pictures out there. I think we have some marketing stuff that's went out here and there. But this will be an opportunity for you to come in and partner with my team, right? Whether it's one-on-one and do some of that dreaming and building together, or to bring your customers into our facility and really explore the breadth and capabilities that Aero has to help enhance those solutions, right, in the design aspect of it. So it's really from ideation to execution, everything in between. It's a phenomenal facility. I'm so excited for it to open up. September 12th, I think, is the ribbon cutting date. I'm sure Mr. Ben Klay will be in attendance. And with that, Ben, unless you have anything else, questions for me, I'll turn the time back over to you.
So I do. One, I hope everyone at the expo last night did stop by the Open Lab booth. It's pretty amazing. We're excited about that. It really brings the power. You can't hear me? Guys, can you turn my mic on? Check, check. I guess that means we can hear you fine. Michael can hear me, but he's in the front row. No. Hey.
Hello? You guys turn Ben's mic on? Anyone?
Adam's on.
Here, you just want mine? Wayne, you got a joke?
Oh, I'm working.
Yeah. You got a
Nice.
joke? Can you tell me a joke?
No, not today.
No jokes. You guys want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, 2 muffins are in an oven. One looks at the other one and says, man, it's hot in here. Thank you, and good night.
Can you hear me now?
No, I think you're still out.
This is ridiculous.
Stand up and shout.
You guys were doing great. Well, here we go. Oh, it works. So, Adam, just a couple things. So the Open Lab's fantastic. I hope you guys had a chance to go to stop at that booth at the expo last night. I'm very excited about that. It brings together all the capabilities across Aero into a single place for you guys to bring your customers and for suppliers to come in as well in an EBC type of format. But to Adam's point, from ideation all the way through to development of the solution. So excited about that. But how many people in here are using Windows 7? Anybody? Any takers? A couple back here. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Our partnership with NVIDIA, which has really expanded over the last 6 to 9 months, Can you comment on the Windows 7 pieces you have here?
Sure. Yeah. It's actually a great one, and appreciate the extra time here. So I think if you're following the industry, Windows 7 end of life, right? Windows 10, new requirements, graphics, right? All kinds of stuff and requirements behind it. So clearly, I think an opportunity for is it the year of VDI? Maybe finally 2020. I don't know, but making sure that we have all those capabilities included as our customers make these migrations will be critical to their success. And really, we're all talking about end user experience and those types of things. And from the IT side, I think we look at it a little bit differently. But when we talk about our end users, right, really this is something that's critical to their job and they use every single day. So through our partnership with NVIDIA and a few of our other suppliers, we have built reference architectures, playbooks. They're available to you guys, where you can kind of pick the flavor that you want, leverage the work that we've done in conjunction with our suppliers, add your IP to it. Let's get together, think about some additional value, right? But use our resources, right? And use the work that we've done, and that's really the easy button for you guys to hit the market with. And this is a massive, massive opportunity. Everybody's gonna have to solve for this in some form or fashion. So let's take advantage and partner together on it.
All right, good, thanks. So when you guys complete your commentary on your feedback and surveys, please, this session is one we'll continue. So we'd welcome any feedback related to show and tell and what you'd like to see. With that, I'll thank you for your time, and we'll transition off here to Nicole. So thank you.